Hey everybody, this is Jay, and I'm coming to you from Capital University. This is, drumroll, the week 5 devotional, I think. That was really anticlimactic the way I built up to that. But anyways, so, continuing on the topic of boldness and courage, I've got 2 devotionals left on that. And so this week we're going to talk about boldness and courage kind of like in our everyday lives, and just being bold and courageous to like share our faith with people in that. So first I want you to look at John 4, and I'm not gonna like read through it, but John 4 is just like really a really good example of Jesus doing this. Okay, so Jesus is like, he's trying to get away from the crowds, and he's trying to get away from the people that are trying to, like, you know, persecute him or you know, shut him down and stuff like that. And then he goes into this place where he's kind of like an outsider, and he's kind of like a foreigner, and he meets this person that he shouldn't even be talking to under the normal rules of things, but he goes ahead and starts a conversation with her. And not only does he talk to her, but he also steers the conversation in a direction to where he can tell her about the good news, which is himself. But I was really inspired by seeing that, and just like preparing to talk about this, because this is something that I've seen a lot and been dealing a lot with. So the next thing I want you to look at is Matthew 10, and I'm just going to read like bits and pieces of it, because there's parts of it that we all need to realize that they're like promises for us whenever we are sharing our faith. So this is when Jesus is sending out the 12 disciples to go minister and basically be missionaries in an everyday kind of setting. So he says to them, he says, "As you go, proclaim this message: the kingdom of heaven has come near. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse those who have leprosy, drive out demons. Freely you have received, and freely give." So the first thing that Jesus says to them is, he says, go and proclaim the message. He says, proclaim it boldly and with power, right? And he says, you've been given freely, so continue to give freely. The next thing that he says, further on down in verse 14, it says, "If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, leave that home or town and shake the dust off of your feet." So later, Jesus ends up saying, if they reject you, really they're just rejecting me. So we need to be able to handle rejection. And then the third thing that I want to bring up, it starts in verse 19 and then goes to 20. It says, "But when they arrest you, do not be worried about what to say or how to say it. At that time you will be given what to say. For it will not be you speaking, but the Spirit of our Father speaking through you." So this is kind of 2 things. Like, one, when you are rejected or even persecuted, don't worry about what to say. And the second part of that is, God will speak through you if you're just obedient to him. And that's something that I've really seen a lot recently, is that, like, I don't have to be worried or like have some kind of speech prepared. Like, God will tell me what to say, or he'll tell me to be quiet and just listen sometimes. So the fourth thing is, it says in verse 26 through 28, it says, "Do not be afraid of them, for there is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. What I tell you in the dark, speak in the daylight. What is whispered in your ear, proclaim from the roofs. Do not be afraid of those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul, but rather be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell." So he's saying, don't be afraid. They can't do anything to you that takes away the promises that I've given you, the promise of eternal life. And then the fifth thing, number 5, in verse 2 or 32, it says, "Whoever acknowledges me before others, I also will acknowledge before my Father in heaven." And so we have to realize that as we go and do ministry, or as we just like live our daily lives, it's not about getting fame for ourselves, or it's not about like looking the best or being the best Christian. It's about bringing glory to Jesus, about acknowledging him before men, right? And that needs to be our goal. So those are the 5 things that I want you to get from Matthew 10. Read it yourself. It's a really good passage, just for anybody that feels, especially like if you feel like you're called into missions. But Jesus calls everybody to be in missions, just in your daily lives. So, go with boldness and courage. Realize that God has given you the authority to go and to speak the gospel, and don't be afraid to start a conversation with somebody in the line at Kroger's or Walmart. I literally had a 2-line conversation with somebody the other day that was going through Walmart's checkout line, and he was just buying a Bible. And I don't know, what God is going to do with that, in his life, but I hope that, that encourages him. I just was like, hey, what are you doing getting a Bible? And he's like, oh, I got saved a couple weeks ago. And I was like, man, that's awesome. I'm like, that's really great. And just I tried to encourage him in that. So don't be afraid to talk to people, especially when God drops a situation in your lap. Pray for that, expect that. And so that would be my encouragement for you. Go in boldness, go in courage, and pray that God would give you that to be able to share. So, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have an awesome week. Bye-bye.